One station making history every day.
Chicago, Chicago.
Now, Jake Hartford.
89.
Welcome to the NATO Chicago Summit 2012 Everybody's Got a Beef Special with your host, Jake Hartford. But first, the official NATO anthem.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our special on the NATO Summit, Chicago 2012. Everyone's got a beef. And we'll be getting to your beef this morning. John Cass will join us later on. We'll be taking your calls, of course, 591-8900. Jim Johnson will be here with all the news and traffic updates. And it's really happened. They're really having a meeting. I thought they're going to wait until the last second and cancel it, but I guess they had to get all the, they made arrangements. If you're driving this morning, I know you've heard about it and you've been warned, and let me tell you, it's for real. There are police everywhere. Inbound on the Stevenson, closed at the Ryan. You have two choices. You could take the ramp that goes to the northbound Ryan, which is on the far right, or you can take the last lane, because what they do, they're starting around Damon. They're closing lanes. First the far left lane, then the second lane. And based on the guy who was weaving in front of me this morning, going 45 miles an hour, they put these barricades up, and I think they had some more weavers, because every so often you'll see a bunch of the barricades have already been knocked down. But anyway, when you get down to the Rhine, you'll either be able to go north on the Rhine or south, and that's it. They have barricades up. They have police with the lights flashing. If you're on the inbound Rhine, you want to go into the Stevenson down to Lakeshore Drive, that is blocked. If you're in the outbound Ryan coming from downtown and you want to take that ramp that, connects by the Stevenson to Lakeshore Drive, that is blocked. Lakeshore Drive is closed from 3900 South to Balboa. Roosevelt closed from Michigan to Lakeshore Drive. And if you're coming to park downtown today, and you think you're going to get one of those free spots because it's the weekend, think again. There is no parking all this weekend, which will be a boon for the private parking garages. They'll make some money. However, when they're making money, the city will be losing money in that all those boxes that you would normally pay to park, you can't park at. And when that company doesn't get that money, what do? They tell the city every one of those spots would have been filled, so you owe us the money. What is it, about $6 an hour now to park downtown? So you do the math. Each space, what, $72 a day for 4 days? That's about $300 per space. Multiply the spaces, the thousands of spaces downtown. That's what it's costing. There will also be different lane closures as more of the motorcades arrive in town. People coming in from O'Hare. Long motorcades. I think the president of Estonia had 14 cars in it. I don't know. The president of Afghanistan, Karzai, is here. I saw a clip on the news. It looked like he was on, you know when the president flies Air Force One? They have two planes, two 747s. Whatever the president is flying, they call that Air Force One. And there's the backup plane. It looked like he was on one of the 747s. He arrived at O'Hare. This one guy from Afghanistan getting off the plane. Sure looked like whatever. You would have thought they would have did a carpool, like an airplane pull, to get over here. And he was a last-minute add to this meeting. I hope he has a place to stay. Because rooms are tight, they say. Although, if you look at some of the news, the business downtown yesterday, there were restaurants that were you could have shot a cannon through. There's nobody. Empty. It was like a ghost town. Great for the economy. I hope the anarchists are spending money. They say it'll be good, but I don't know. There are people who are just afraid of what's going on. And with the protests and public transportation, that's going to be disrupted if you can get to it. But we will keep you informed, not only on this show, but on the other shows right here on 89 WS today and tomorrow, plus Monday, the actual day of the summit. You're going to get all the information you need. Jim Johnson will be with me starting at 6 o'clock. You'll have traffic, everything. This is the place to be. You'll hear the discussions. Anyway, 591-8900 is the phone number. Paul in Arlington Heights. Good morning, Paul. Welcome to 89 WS.
Good morning, Jake. Well, I'd like to point out first thing, there's more important things happening today than the gathering of the NATO summit.
I don't think so. Can't be anything more important than the NATO summit.
Well, here you go. One of your biggest fans, PJ in Crown Point, Indiana, her son Tyler is getting married today to his fiancée, Kristen. So we want to wish those two a very happy marriage together. But I do have some advice for Tyler, okay?
Don't move out of the house?
No, kind of similar. You don't move in. You never move in with your mother-in-law. But remember when Ralph Crandon gave advice to his future brother-in-law, Stanley? He says, when you get married, you say two things. I do, and I'm the boss. Let's sure you make your wife know that you are the king of the castle.
Yeah, that goes over a lot.
Yeah. You've seen how well it works with me and Morgan. It hasn't worked in the last 40 years almost. So, Jake, another thing I'd like to bring up about this NATO summit, let's say you wanted to go and you have a trip and you have to take Amtrak, right? Mm-hmm. Now, this is a scenario that actually I had to do last year. You're going to take the northwest line of the Union Pacific here in order to get downtown Chicago. Well, let's say if you're going far, you're going to have luggage. But they're saying you can't bring any luggage on any of the metro trains. Well, what the heck are you going to do, Jake? You're going to do take a taxi cab from, let's say, Crystal Lake, Illinois, and take it all the way to downtown Chicago because you're not allowed to bring luggage onto the train?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
How much could a taxi be from Crystal Lake? About $9, $9.50?
Oh, yeah.
Plus tip?
Wish. Add maybe another $100 to that, $9. Unbelievable. I mean, talk about inconvenience, and I'm sure, Jake, I am sure people are going to be affected like that. There's got to be people affected like that today or all this weekend. I mean, that's ridiculous. And another thing that I was thinking over during the week, something you suggested to me, and by golly, I think you're right. You were suggesting that, I should vote in that governor's election up there in Wisconsin, And, since I do pay property taxes up there, I should have some say-so on who the governor should be in that state, right?
They've got people, they've done stories up in Wisconsin of people registering to vote up there who are from Chicago. So, why not?
Well, that's what I'm thinking. I could go right across the border, go into Genoa City, and try to vote, since I won't be there on the day of the election itself, but I could maybe go across the border and try to vote.
You can register as a homeless person.
There you go. And then if I get caught and they're saying, hey, I'm doing wrong, I can use this famous saying that's taken over on the Internet. I could say, Jake Hartford made me do it. There you go. If they blame me, I'll blame you.
Yeah, you can say you're homeless, and they can't turn you away.
That's right. So maybe I will vote in that election after all.
I'm not telling anybody to break the law, but I'm just saying you can.
That's right. There you go.
All right. Thank you, Paul.
All right, Jake. Have a good weekend.
You too.
Stay safe out there.
Take care. Let's go to Mike in rural Wisconsin. Mike, you're on 89 WLS.
Hey, thanks. I remember as a teenage boy living in Chicagoland, and our history teacher told us about the North Atlantic Treaty Organization and why it was formed. It was formed so all of Europe would be safe from Russia.
Yes.
It's rather ironic that in the year 2012, I'm driving around Wisconsin contemplating my next presidential election, where I sure as heck hope everybody gets to the polls and votes out personal undercover representative of the entire communist world, because we have a leader in our midst who represents what we used to think we had to get organized to fight.
Are you saying you're anti-Obama?
Yeah.
Would you rather have somebody like Romney? You want a guy like Mitt Romney who made money?
Yeah. Well, the battle here is, do we want to be socialist like France and Greece and Spain and Ireland? Or do we want to continue the system that made us the greatest country in the world? We're pretty much at a crossroads here.
I think we want to. I think we want to be like Greece, where we're used to the nice benefits and we don't want to give them up.
Oh yeah, well we had that drama going in Wisconsin, where there are elements here of people who love their benefits are trying to take the governor out here in June because he dared to trim their benefits.
Well, let me ask you a question, Mike. You're in Wisconsin. You would know this. Let's say the governor wins in June of Wisconsin, okay? Scott Walker wins in June. Could they have another recall election? Get signatures on a ballot and have another recall?
No. Once he overwhelms them in June, and he will, he's safe until 2014. They can't recall him again.
You sure?
I'm 100% sure.
Then
That's been talked about quite a bit here.
Then he can do whatever he wants then.
Plenty of other people they'll work on.
All right, thank you, Mike.
Bye.
Yeah, then he can do whatever he wants. Get past the election in June. He's safe for 2 years. Hey, can't recall me. You tried it once, didn't work. We'll get to more of your calls. This is your NATO headquarters this morning. All things NATO. 591-8900, Jake Hartford right here in 89 WLS.
When you need to know how to panic properly.
There's a memo in Milwaukee for the Red Cross up there that says to prepare for potential Chicago evacuees during the NATO conference.
Turn to Rokon and Richard Roker.
What?
Afternoons 2 to 6.
I got people, and I'd let them all know we don't spend enough time together as a family, really. I've got a sleeping bag. I don't make a lot of noise.
Gird your loins.
What?
With Chicago's talk leader.
Wow.
89 WLS.
Tune in to the Mortgage Radio Show here on 890 AM WLS this morning at 11 a.m. The Mortgage Radio Show, hosted by Kerry Kasem and mortgage expert Alex Michaels, brought to you by Network Capital Funding Corporation, will help you find the right mortgage product for your needs. The Mortgage Radio Show will provide you reliable information, up-to-the-minute interest rates, and most current loan programs available. Get the tools needed to make sound financial and mortgage choices. Tune in this morning at 11 a.m. on 890 AM WLS. The Mortgage Radio Show, your #1 choice for mortgage news.
Today's Gold Bond Rescue Mission, itching for a birdie. I'm on the 10th green with Sam.
Hey.
And right now, he's sweating a tricky downhill putt from 9 feet out.
That's tricky because I'm all sticky and itchy.
That's why I'm giving Sam the powder with the power, Gold Bond Body Powder. The encapsulated menthol protects skin, absorbs moisture, and relieves itching.
Now, if I miss, it's all on me.
Relax. Gold Bond keeps you cool under pressure.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Think Gold Bond.
This stuff works.
Me, a cat, moving in with a new human. It took a little getting used to. She has these weird games she likes to play, like this giant feather. She sticks it in my face. I swat it away. She sticks it in my face. I swat it away. It's almost like she thinks I enjoy it. But seeing how much fun she gets out of it, well, I guess it makes it all worth it. Humans.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
Nobody ever says, it's just cancer. Get over it.
Or, snap out of it. It's just diabetes.
And who would ever say, it's nothing serious, it's just heart disease?
But you do hear those words about people living with another serious illness.
It's called depression, and it threatens the lives of more than 15 million Americans.
Like heart disease, its symptoms can be misleading.
Like diabetes, it's biologically based.
And, like cancer, it can be fatal.
So what we should say is what doctors, medical professionals, and other experts say. Depression can be treated.
Which is why those who have overcome it say, getting treatment is like getting your life back.
Depression is real, but so is hope. Learn more at depressionisreal.org.
Supported by a coalition of organizations, including Mental Health America, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, the National Medical Association, and the National Urban League.
For the millions living with COPD, breathing becomes a real struggle. COPD stands for chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, but you may have heard of it as chronic bronchitis or emphysema. Over time, it makes it harder and harder to breathe until you feel like you're breathing through a straw. COPD is the 4th leading cause of death in the U.S. It kills 1 person every 4 minutes, and it took my grandmother. An estimated 24 million Americans are affected, but as many as half of them don't even know it. It's a race against time to spread the word about this serious disease. If you're over 35 and have ever smoked, you could be at risk. The good news is, there are steps you can take to improve your symptoms. I'm Danica Patrick, and I drive for COPD. Take action today to breathe better tomorrow. Join the movement at driveforcopd.com. Take our screening questionnaire today and talk to your doctor.
I'm sorry, sir, but it appears as though your credit card has been declined.
Did everyone hear that? This person right here, credit card declined. If we can please have an awkward silence.
Oh, I'm with a date here. Look, so I'm late on a few payments. I'll make it up next month. Promise.
He promises to pay it all back next month. Can we have an aww?
Putting more on your card than you can afford to spend can lead to even bigger problems, like public humiliation. Don't let your credit put you in a bad place. Go to controlyourcredit.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Treasury and the Ad Council.
Tune into Securing Your Financial Future with Goldstone Financial Group this Sunday morning at 8. And learn how to grow your money safely and never lose it again.
News from across the country and around the world is moments away with an ABC News update on 89 WLS and WLSAM.com.
524. Awake with Jake, the NATO special. Everyone's got a beef. What's your beef? And we're also going to test your knowledge of how well you know NATO. You should know it. You should know it backwards and forwards right now. We're going to have Jim Johnson later on with the news, and there'll be traffic all during my show and all during the weekend right here on 89 WLS today and tomorrow. Jim and Gary, you're on 89 WLS.
Hey, good morning, Jake.
Good morning.
I've got two things. As far as NATO, the thing I don't understand is why this thing wasn't held on an Air Force base in the middle of nowhere. It really didn't need to be held in the middle of our city, and especially during White Sox Cubs week. But
are they going out? Are they going out to Cubs Park today for some sort of ceremony?
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, the Pentagon has quite a budget for propaganda. So, but the thing is, though, too, is your last caller was talking about Obama being a communist, and I understand.
I think he said socialist.
Okay, well, either way.
That's a difference.
I understand it, based on his, his rhetoric and maybe, the people that he's associated with. But the fact of the matter is, you look at what he's done. He hasn't changed the course from Bush, who increased the size of government by 70%. Lenin talked about if you give
Bush didn't increase government by 70%.
What do you mean?
He did increase government by 70%.
Really?
No.
Medicare Part D, No Child Left Behind.
Not government. He didn't increase government by 70%. No.
Spending?
Spending is different. But the spending that went up during Bush is dwarfed by how much has gone up under Obama.
Oh, I agree, but two wrongs don't make a right. And what I'm saying, though, is that if you look at it, they both are beholden, both parties are beholden to multinational corporate interests. They aren't looking out for the American people. Look at Gary, Indiana, man. It's falling apart. We got money to blow up bridges and rebuild them in other countries. We're watching the borders between Afghanistan and Pakistan. We don't even watch our own borders, man.
Gary, you're one of the crown jewels of the Chicago airport system. It's O'Hare, Midway, and Gary.
Well, I mean, an airport doesn't make a city, though, bud.
Yeah, but how about weren't you proud of all those world leaders that started flying in yesterday through Gary?
I'm sorry?
Didn't you see any of the world leaders that flew in through Gary International yesterday, and they're going to be doing it today and tomorrow?
No, I sure didn't.
Yeah, you see, you got to get part of that. Get some civic pride.
No, I mean, the fact of the matter is it doesn't matter to me. These world leaders aren't my leaders. That's part of the problem here is that the United States has sacrificed so much of its sovereignty through all these treaties that our great-grandfathers signed, and in the meantime, we're just going bankrupt trying to be the police of the world.
We're not. Well, yeah, we are going bankrupt doing that. Thank you, Jim. I mean, Karzai, he needs $4 billion a year to keep security up once we pull out. And he can only contribute $500 million. So he's $3.5 billion short. So that's why he's in Chicago, to raise some money. 528, Awake with Jake. It's a Saturday morning on 89 WLS.
89 WLS.
Turn to 89 WLS for the latest on the NATO summit and how it will affect you. Chicago's talk leader, 89 WLS.
534, Awake with Jake. On this NATO Summit 2012 Chicago, everyone's got a beef special. Jim Johnson will be joining us in a little bit with news at the top and the bottom of the hour. We're going to give you traffic. We'll go over at the top of the hour some of the closures. If you're real shortly, though, if you're driving downtown and you're used to parking on the street for free on the weekend or paying in the box, forget it. No parking all over the place. So you're going to have to go into a parking structure, and usually those things run $25, $30. You may want to look for some specials. Unless the parking people figure, hey, why have specials? People have to park here. Anyway, keep it tuned to 89 WLS all weekend. We're going to have traffic and weather traffic and news all weekend for you. And you'll get weather too, as a bonus. I was watching something on TV the other day about ethanol for gas. It was a news story, and ethanol is in 10% in most gas stations. There are some gas stations that still do pure gas, but ethanol is in most gas stations. It's a 10% mixture. And the story said, and I don't know how true this is because it was a news report, they claim by having ethanol in a 10% mixture in the gas, in a gallon of gas, it saves you a little over $1 a gallon. And what they want to do, they want to bump it up to 15%. And they said if they can bump it up to 15%, they would save up to $2 a gallon. So I know what you're thinking, hey, that sounds great. But the problem is, there's a lot of problems, always problems. Nothing is ever simple. The problem is ethanol comes from corn. The more you use it for gasoline, the less corn there is for corn to be used for other things, like feeding livestock. And if it becomes more expensive because there's a demand for it, then the price of, say, pigs rises and your bacon becomes more expensive. That's a whole other side issue. But the part that caught my attention is that they said the American car manufacturers and the foreign car manufacturers in general, are against going to an 85% gas, 15% ethanol ratio because the engines in the cars today aren't designed for that. It says you're going to have more damaged engines. So you're going to save some money at the gas pump, but then you're going to do a $1,000 engine repair or more. Yeah. Job creation for the mechanics. We're here from the government. We're here to help you. That's what it's all. That's what it's all about. Thinking these things through. So you got that going for you. 15%. I don't know. And then you've got in California. The governor of California, I think it's the year 2020, 25, something like that. Every public building has to be self-sufficient for power, either solar or wind, which is creating a real havoc out in California right now. People don't know what they're going to do, and I love wind power. I think the problem what the government did, rather than spend money investing in the technology, research and all that, and the technology, they started betting on individual companies. And then when China started subsidizing the Chinese companies, the American companies couldn't compete. The price wasn't on the prices, and boom, the American companies went out of business. So, okay, for every good action, there's a couple bad reactions. Donald in Flossmoor. Donald, you're on 89 WLS.
Hello. I just wanted to voice my disappointment with the Chicago Cub owners for trying to play the race card in the election. I think it's a disgrace what they did.
What did they do?
Well, they was going to try to run that political ad, the Reverend Wright ad, which is totally playing the race card because they're trying to depict Obama.
Did you see it? Did you see the ad?
Yes, I saw I saw a preview of the ad on TV.
I didn't see an ad. I didn't know there was an ad.
Well, they was going to run the thing that McCain didn't refuse to do, but they was going to run something very similar to that.
Well, that was why I believe what actually happened was there were a lot of different suggestions on different things they could be, how they would spend money on campaign ads from this one super PAC, and that was one suggestion, but nobody ever said, hey, go ahead and produce it.
But the Cub owners was going to finance it.
No, the father is a contributor to the one super PAC, but there never was a real ad. That was like you sit around and say, give me 100 ideas of things we can do. That was one of those spitball ideas, but nobody ever said, go ahead and produce an ad.
Well, okay, but the fact is, I think they threw it out as a trial balloon, and they would have done it if there wasn't so much protesting about it. I think, which is obviously would have been, you know what? I support anybody they want. I don't care.
Yeah, but you know what, Donald?
When they're trying to play the race card, I think they're really going.
Yeah, and what happened to the contributor to Romney? One of the super PACs that supports Romney. The guy had a business, and he got labeled as a gay bigot a week ago, because he's a contributor.
A gay bigot.
Yeah.
Labeled by whom?
By people on the left, the blogs. This guy's business suffered. Because here's how it works, Donald. It isn't what you say anymore. It's kind of like if you want to cut the budget, you become the person who wants to starve kids. You know how they run they go from point A right to Z and miss everything in between? So, like, for example, 2 weeks ago today, if you were against gay marriage, if your idea of marriage was a man and a woman, you were okay with that. Okay?
Okay.
Once the president decided, you know what? It doesn't have to be just a man and a woman anymore. It could be a man and a man, a woman and a woman. Now, if you come out and say, I believe marriage should be a man and a woman, they call you a bigot. And you're anti-gay. Is that right?
No.
But that's what they do. And that's what they did to the guy in Idaho.
They called him a bigot.
Yeah. All over the blogs.
Okay. Well, that's definitely wrong about that. You know, I can see that. I can see where you're saying that's not right.
And I'm saying in this thing with Ricketts, and you know what, I'm no lover of supporting, you know, tax money for Wrigley, but I mean, people have just like jumped on before finding out what was actually going on. I mean, it's crazy. Things are crazy nowadays.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe I'm wrong about them, but it really upset me to let you know that they're going to play the race card, trying to attack. You know, with that, I was just.
But wait. Since you brought up Reverend Wright, let me ask you this: Have you seen any? There's a new book out called The Amateur.
I heard about that new book and things he said.
There's 3 hours. There's a 3-hour interview with the Reverend Wright on tape.
Okay.
Where the Reverend Wright makes an accusation that he was offered money to keep his mouth shut during the election.
Well, I don't know. That's probably just talk, you know. But anyway, I assume somebody might have asked him to keep. He might have been offered money to keep his mouth shut, and he should have kept his mouth shut because everything he was saying was kind of ridiculous at that time.
Yeah.
And the Fox people was taking his. They took most of his sermons out of context. I mean, when he said that thing about GD America, they took that out of context.
They're coming to get you, Donald. They're coming to get you. They're coming to get you. I don't even know who's coming to get him right now. I have no idea. Russ and Berwyn. Russ, you're on 89 WLS.
Hey, Jake, how you doing? Long time no talk.
What's on your mind?
Well, you know, I wanted to give you some information when you brought up the corn issue with the ethanol. I wanted to tell you a story I had back in the 70s. I went to NIU in DeKalb, and DeKalb agriculture was a big kingpin out there. And they put out a study in the 70s. I think it came out in 72. And as of 1971, the nutritive value of the food grown for Del Monte Corporation, that got a lot of their canned vegetables and fruits and stuff from northern Illinois and southern Wisconsin, had from 59 or 60 gone down like 13 to 15%. And I'm thinking, how could ethanol improve so well with corn if the value of the corn is down? How can using the corn improve gas more? Isn't that a conundrum, a juxtaposition?
That's a 3-syllable word. That's what that is.
Yeah. Well, I was just curious, but then I heard Donald speaking, and that just rubbed me the wrong way. I've heard him before, and, you know, I got to tell you, I have to admit a sin. I made 2 mistakes in my voting life. I backlashed against Nixon and Ford and voted for Carter because of the, letting Nixon off the hook and letting him go. And I paid for that one. And now I believed in this hope and change, and I didn't understand what was going on with this guy. And I thought he was really going to put this racial issue in the can, and let's bury it. And his first opportunity out of the box, what does he say? The police are stupid in Massachusetts. And ever since then, it's just the card that they play over and over and over again. Unfortunately, Jake, I believe that, the free independent voters that are out there, they're going to get sucked in again by this guy.
Well, we're going to see what happens. Thank you, Russ.
All right, bye, Jake.
Jim in Mundelein. Jim, you're on 89 WLS.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
I would like to comment on the propaganda they've put out about the corn.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that the corn, the animals cannot digest all the starch in the corn that's there, especially cows and pigs and chickens. And as a result, a lot of it's wasted. So by taking the corn and making alcohol out of it, and then what you have left over, you feed to these animals, and it turns out to be a wonderful food for them.
But apparently not enough and not cheap enough because they're not producing as many hogs anymore. The pig production is down.
Well, I think that's another factor there as far as the way the animals are raised and the waste material and everything else that you got to get rid of. I think there's a big problem there, which is a different thing. Why the pigs are down.
Oh, I know bacon's expensive because you have fewer pigs.
But the thing is, as far as the feed goes, the feed is actually a better food when you take the starch out of it, as far as the animal is concerned. And we're not being told the truth on that.
You know what? I don't even know what the truth is anymore, Jim. I don't know what the truth is. 547, Awake with Jake. It's a NATO summit weekend right here on 89 WLS.
89
WLS.
Hey, it's freezing back here. Ugh.
Yeah, close the window.
Yeah, no.
Why? Sorry. Oh, girl, what you need is Digestive Advantage Gas Defense.
It's a supplement.
Digestive Advantage from Schiff. Its dual-action formula acts quickly to stop gas before it starts when taken with a meal.
I take it every day.
It's good for you.
And with continued use, the healthy probiotic gives you long-term digestive support.
Road trip, and we won't need a convertible.
Works now and later. That's the Digestive Advantage.
So glad we left that stupid party.
No joke.
Hey, baby, are you an overdue library book? Because you got fine written all over you.
Oh, barf. What about that girl with the hoop earrings?
Ridiculous. When she was dancing...
Megan, look out. Look out.
Oh, my God. Becky. Becky, are you okay?
My arm. I think it's broken.
Can you bend it?
It's already bent. In the wrong direction.
I can't believe this. I'm so sorry. I only had a few drinks. I was just buzzed.
Really? Just buzzed?
Yeah, I swear.
Well, in that case, my arm is fine. Ah, that's better.
You're really okay? You're serious, Becky?
No, genius. I'm not serious.
Ow! My arm, it hurts.
Buzzed driving. Maybe we should stop acting like it's no big deal. Buzzed driving is drunk driving. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Transportation, the Ad Council, and this station.
Thinking of cooking? Think of your heart. I'm Mon, short for mono unsaturated fat.
And I'm polyunsaturated fat. We're the Better Fat Sisters. We're heart helpers.
Try the foods we're in.
Like fish, nuts, and vegetable oils.
Right on, sis. Eat less fatty meat, deep-fried foods, and pastries.
Those bad saturated and trans fats will break your heart.
Remember, we're better, but we're fats too.
We all have 9 calories per gram.
So go easy on the portions.
And spend more time with us.
The Better Fat Sisters. Be kinder to your heart. Learn more at AmericanHeart.org/FaceTheFats.
Hey, Dad.
Yeah.
You remember that ball game we went to a couple years ago?
Sure.
And how you didn't have enough cash for 2 hot dogs, so you walked with me on your shoulders until we found an ATM? And then when we got back to our seats, we never saw the hot dog guy again.
Well, I don't remember all that.
Yeah, that was an awesome game.
You never know which moments will be the ones they'll remember forever. So take time to be a dad today. Learn more at 1-877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
This is my campsite.
These are our hunting grounds.
These are the trees in my neighborhood.
I promise to protect these trees.
The emerald ash borer beetle kills trees. It lives in firewood.
I promise not to move firewood.
Never move firewood.
Will you promise me?
The emerald ash borer beetle lives in firewood. Moving just one piece can unleash destruction. Get the full story and promise you won't move firewood at stopthebeetle.info. A message from the USDA.
In the news, a small boy was rescued from abuse today by a magic trick. Witnesses say a bully had the boy pinned down.
Scott was hitting Timmy pretty hard.
And I said somebody should do something.
Moments later, a street magician arrived on the scene. Police reports state he covered the bully with his coat. What happened next is still under investigation.
The bully turned into a bunch of kittens.
The victim left the scene unharmed.
Boy, you never see that happen.
That's because it doesn't. If you see abuse or neglect, learn what you can do from American Humane at BeHumane.org.
I've had trouble with Angel trying to finish high school. It would be frustrating because during the day I would get a phone call saying he wasn't in class. He dropped out for a whole month. I really didn't have many people to look to but myself. Now I think that it's gotten a lot better. Now I at least have hope that he'll finish high school. He's still my son, you know. I can't give up.
Give your teen the boost they need to graduate. Call 1-877-4A-KID or join us at boostup.org for tips and advice. Brought to you by the U.S. Army and the Ad Council.
You have connections in the government, and there's no telling where they can take you. USA.gov, your official source for all government info. Who knows? Student loan and job hunting tips today could lead to retirement planning tomorrow. USA.gov.
The latest news from the nation and across the globe is just minutes away with ABC News, 89 WLS and WLSAM.com.
5:52. Jake Hartford here on the NATO Summit 2012 Chicago. Everyone's got a beef special. Jim Johnson will have some news at the top and bottom of the hour. Starting at 6 o'clock, you'll get your traffic and news all weekend long right here on 89 WLS. To Jim in Riverside. Jim, you're on 89 WLS.
Yes, good morning, Jake.
Morning.
I listen to you regularly on my morning walk. I've never called in before. And I just realized while I was on hold, it's largely because the people that are up and calling this time of the day have a pretty good understanding of what goes on in this country.
Are you walking right now?
I'm walking right now.
How old are you, Jim?
Oh, I'm 70.
You know, it sounds like your heart is really working overboard there.
Well, anyway, the gentleman called in complaining about the rickets. Being a businessman myself, I'd like to explain to him and Mr. Obama, another one who doesn't understand that the rickets have an investment in the Cubs. They would like a return on their investment. And the best way for them to get a return is to fill the stands up. The best way to fill the stands up is to get somebody in the White House that will not stop people from hiring people, but increase hiring. And people can afford to buy tickets and go, and therefore the rickets get a return on the investment. Thanks for listening to me, and enjoy your program.
Who's going to increase that? Who's going to create the jobs, though, Jim?
I'm sorry?
Who's going to create the jobs?
There's many things that you can do to create jobs. Right now, people don't hire anybody because they have no clue what it's going to cost them a year or two down the road.
Well, yeah, there's a huge tax increase coming the 1st of January.
Absolutely. My business is cut exactly it's been cut 67% just since this man got the nomination. So...
Yeah, you're not the only one. Thank you.
That will explain to him why the rickets would like to get him out of the office.
Yeah, slow down. You're walking too fast. I don't want you to have a heart attack there, Jim. Thank you. I mean, if the rickets made a bad investment in the Cubs and Wrigley needs to be repaired, well, that's on the rickets, really. I mean, the taxpayers shouldn't have to bail them out or help them do whatever they want to do. If they can take advantage of existing laws, okay, fine. Then I'm all for that. But then this other thing about, Mayor Emanuel got all upset based on what he heard that supposedly he was going to be in the Super PAC ad. I mean, take a breath. Stop and take a breath and see what actually is happening. Yeah, more important things to worry about. I'm worried about this stupid cheeseburger tax they want to put. This is out of Indiana. It's being proposed. A 20% cheeseburger tax. Actually, it's 20% on unhealthy foods. And some panel will decide what food is healthy and not. That's what I'm upset about. And they use the rationale. Well, we already tax cigarettes and alcohol, so this just fits right in. They gave an example of a $4 cheeseburger. A 20% tax would be how much? I'll do the math for you. 80 cents. On top of the regular sales tax. So if you have a 10% sales tax, you've got 40 cents for that and another 80 cents for the cheeseburger tax. That's $1.20 on a $4 cheeseburger. That's what you should be worried about. The inmates are running the asylum. And then what they're going to do, they want to subsidize the healthy food. They want to give you a subsidy on your carrots when you buy your carrots to make carrots more affordable. So if you see carrots for 59 cents a bunch now, you're not buying them because they're 59 cents. But if it's 30 cents a bunch, you're going to buy them, right? Is that what you're going to do? Tell me. 591-8900. And what always gets me, they always find some idiot in the crowd for this quote that makes the story. This woman said, quote, I'd pay 20%. It's worth it. I would eat a lot more healthy just to save more money. You don't need to increase taxes on stuff just to eat healthy. Man, you talk about backwards thinking. I'd pay 20%. It's worth it. I would eat a lot more healthy just to save more money. See, I don't smoke cigarettes. I never had one cigarette in my life. So the higher cigarettes go, the more money I'm saving. Cigarettes get to $10 a pack, I'm a millionaire. According to that thinking. Anyway, this hour's gone. We have 2 more hours to go when Paul Bryan gets here with Drive Chicago. We will have Jim Johnson with the news, top and bottom of the hour. You're going to get your traffic. I'll run down a lot of the closures right after the top of this next hour. And we're going to start to test your knowledge of NATO. How well do you know NATO? As the people in Portugal would say, Bem bom. Jake Hartford back after news, weather, and traffic right here on 89 WLS.
89 WLS.